And in British Columbia in general, we like to acknowledge the land that we stand on. Railroad University is on the traditional land of the Lekwungen and Cosapsan families, which are known as the Sundhi and Esquimalt nations. This statement means that we at Railroads recognize the importance of Indigenous and non-Indigenous people relationship, and we continue to learn and understand the history, present, and future scopes of Indigenous people. I invite you as well in the chat to acknowledge which land you are joining from today. And just to make sure that everybody's in the good room, we're here to discuss the graduate certificate, graduate diploma, Master of Art in Interdisciplinary Studies. And with me today, I have Dr. Joe Axe. If you want to say hi, Joe.
Hello.
Thank you. I wasn't sure if the mic was working perfect. Willem unfortunately had a little emergency, but we have lovely Carole with us, the school director. So Carole, if you want to wave at us or say hi.
Of course. Thank you, Nancy. And hello, everyone. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Yes, and we're so lucky to have Michelle Hollis joining us today.
Hi there, everybody.
And myself, Nancy, I'm an education specialist at Railroads. Also, behind the scene, I think we have someone from the enrollment team, as well as Mark Dickinson, which is my colleague, and they will be popping some questions in the chat. If you have any tech issue, anything you want to know, you can always message Mark and the enrollment advisors. Today, what's the agenda? We'll do a brief overview of Railroad University. We'll do the program at a glance. We'll hear from our grad. We'll review the application process and requirements, and then we'll answer questions throughout the presentation as we can. Let's get started here. So why explore Railroad University? And maybe this is a good timing to use the reaction button if you can just do a thumbs up or celebration emoji if you have come to campus before or if you know anything about Railroads. Thank you for that. So why Railroad? So here we see life as a qualification. Our doors were open with the purpose of doing things differently. You'll hear that often, we want to be different. They remain open to those who share that same entrepreneurial spirit. That means that our admission process isn't just about academic achievement, and I'll be able to chat more about it in a few minutes. And because we don't just see the potential in your future, we also consider your past. The second bullet here is prof who know your name. We've maintained small class sizes and a conversational way of teaching for a reason. So it's to engage conversation and open dialogue in most of our classes. We have learning based on life. Being a university for working professional means that students will bring the real challenge that they see at work in their workplace, and they will bring that into the classroom to solve them all together. Connection for life, one of my favorites. So the connection you make here will be a lifetime one. And even if this program is not a cohort based, you will still make friends and contact during your program and after. Lastly, we were built differently. So since day one, we stood for something different. It's a philosophy that reflected in our physical location because we're a national heritage site. And it's also the blended model that we created, which always had a learning component to it. And Changemaker Campus. So maybe you're aware of this accreditation called Ashoka U. So Ashoka is a leading designation for social innovation in higher education. Ashoka envisions a world where every student acquires the skills, confidence, and motivation to create change for the good of all. So Railroad is very pleased to be part of that network. And here, before I pass it over to Joe, here is a few pictures about campus, about Railroads. Even if most programs and this program will be online mostly, you're always welcome to join us on campus for a visit. You bring your friends and family. So on the top left, you can see Hatley Castle, which I think is the most iconic building we have on site, which was built in 1908 as a retirement house for the Dunsmuir family. Then we became a military college, and since 1995, we're known as Railroad University. On the top right, Japanese garden, we have 565 acres of land, so many, many gardens to explore and go for your homework maybe, or lunchtime. And the Esquimalt Lagoon is where what the university is facing. So we have the campus and we're facing that beautiful bird sanctuary. And at the bottom right, online learning for 25 years. As I mentioned, this is something we do since day one. So all our instructors and really everybody that work at Railroad are really comfortable being online. And it's a different online that maybe you experienced in the past. So I invite you to be curious about it and learn more today. So Joe, if you would like to continue here.
Thanks so much, Nancy. That was a great guided tour of railroads and some of the history and things that you can see if you do come to campus. I know not everybody will be on campus, so there's a whole another dimension to your learning that we're going to chat a little bit about as we go through the program. So my name is Jo Axe. I'm the program head for the Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies at Railroads University. So I will continue on if I can remember how we are going to forward the slides, which I don't. Do I have access to forwarding? Okay. Thanks, Nancy. I couldn't see the forwarding button, so that was a little bit of a challenge. Yeah, so what does it mean to our students, interdisciplinarity? So what our students do is they are looking at complex problems, challenges in the world around them and looking at different frameworks from different fields of study, which is great because you can combine leadership with business, with communications, the list goes on. So whatever your own personal perspectives and interests are, and we have courses that match those needs, you can look at the long list of courses that we have, and hopefully we'll be able to put together a nice schedule for you that will meet the needs that you have. It can be a good fit because we're looking for those unique aspects. Every student comes in with a different perspective. Every student has different reasons for doing the program, their goals, what they want to get out of it. So what we can do is we work with you to try and help support those needs that you have and fit in with the answers that you're looking for, to help lead you to some of those things. And it's great for, again, help those creative thinkers looking for different types of solutions. So you're not looking at it purely through the lens of leadership, or so do I keep focusing on leadership? I'm not sure why, or education, but you can look at it through different lenses, which is a great way of coming at problems and finding solutions. So thanks, Nancy. Next slide, thank you. So what do our students want? So we decided to put this in because we get a lot of questions from students, and we have conversations with them about the things that they're looking for, and how Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies can actually help fit those needs. So it's a creation of those individual schedules. There are 8 different fields of study at RIU, and we can pull in courses from each of those different areas to individualize that program for you. But the second bullet, it relates to that one, is that personal schedule. So at Railroads, many of our students are full-time in the workplace, but you're also able to work through a flexible schedule, but you will still have deliverables due. So I just want to kind of put that out front, is that it's not maximum flexibility. You still have teamwork and you still have commitments to hand individual assignments in. So there are scheduled deliverables, but there's lots of flexibility within that about how you work. You don't have to be in a classroom at a particular time and that sort of thing. And the great thing about the MAISE program is that ability to build these diverse networks. So you will be popping into courses from different programs. You will have networks from those programs that you can build upon and get connections with folks that have got an interest in a different field than you do, because you're in a more diverse program and can nip into another program where they have a different focus. And again, if you're thinking of doing research, the ability to bring in your own research topic, and we can have a conversation around how we can support you looking into something and doing that deep dive into the research that will help you answer some of those questions that you have. So thanks, Nancy. So who are our students? Well, we've been running this program for several years now. So our students are coming from a variety of different areas, and I'll let you read those for yourself. But a lot of folks come in as private consultants and have a variety of different needs that May's program can help as they're moving through the program. One of the things I have found is that folks say that when they've been in the program a little while, they already feel more capable and able to have conversations with people about different things in different ways. It helps with your argumentation and a lot of other things. Critical thinking, obviously, is another thing that we have a high priority for in our learning outcomes at Royal Roads in general. So lots of things there, but the last bullet, the lifelong learners. Everybody is committed to that ongoing learning experience, and ROU has been committed to that for well over, it's 27 years now. I think we've been doing lifelong learning, so it's fantastic. All right.
Wonderful, Jo. And that makes me think of a question I got by email before the session. Some people were asking, oh, we have been out of school for a few years, 5-10 years. Are we good candidates? What would you say?
Absolutely. So I actually have a master's in distributed learning from Royal Roads University, and I'd probably been out of school for, I don't know, 10-15 years when I came back in to do my master's. And many of our students are coming in from a variety of different backgrounds. So one of the strengths of the ROU classroom is, if you look at the variety of skills that people come in with, and a lot of that is maybe 5 years work experience. Some people might have 20, some might have 25, but all those experiences come into the classroom, and the classrooms, because they're very dialogic, we talk about things, we explore things deeply. Those experiences are very valuable. So coming in, if you haven't been in education for 10 or 15 years, I don't think is a problem at all. I think it's actually a benefit and a value to the folks who are coming into the classroom, and you share your experiences with other people and they learn from you. So there's a lot of learning goes on in our classrooms. It's not directed necessarily from the professor. It's more this variety and swirl of all the different experiences people have. That's quite exciting, which is why I love teaching here. Sorry, next one. So this one captures the program. So the Master of Arts in Interdisciplinary Studies is, because it's very flexible, you can see there's lots of different options you have here of ways and things that you can do. There are core pieces that you have to conform and do, the core courses. So I'll go down to the bottom left of your screen. If you focus on that, where it says May's degree, that kind of captures a lot of the key points about it. So there are a total of 36 credits. Most of our courses are 3 credits. So I've just jumped down to the third bullet on that one. But you'll have plenty of elective credits. So there are core courses that are required, but then you'll have 27 credits that you can bring in from other programs. And it is working with our program staff to design that program that's really unique to you. There is often an opportunity to transfer in some credits. We do have a limit to how many credits you can transfer in, and they have to be at a graduate level, and it has to relate to your goals in the program. It's sort of a big package when we're trying to do it. So we look at a lot of different things when we're working with you on your scheduling to make sure that it's covering the things that you need. The big circle on the left that says May's, that's telling you about the 3 mandatory core courses that you have to take. So IND is 500, 505, and 510. So we have one that's critical thinking and focuses on writing skills. There's another one about interdisciplinarity, and then there's one about research that helps build that interdisciplinary research approach for you. So those are the 3 core courses that everybody in May's has to take. And usually you start your program with those. That gives you a good grounding, a good understanding of what interdisciplinarity is as you're moving into your other courses, and helps you, gives you some tools that you can work through the rest of your program. So first option, if we go on the, I don't know if they call it a turquoise line or the blue line with the rocket ship we have in there, that's a course-based. So if you want to do courses, you can do your program entirely online. You can choose up to 9 elective courses. So after you've had your 3 core courses, you can then switch into electives and have a look at a wide variety of courses that we have available for you to take. The second option, which is the yellow option, is if you wanted to do a residency, and we are starting back up with residencies at the moment. I think that's correct, because for a couple of years, because of COVID, we were not doing residencies. So lots of folks like to come into campus. You'll have usually format, I can't guarantee that's what you'll get, but usually it's 3 weeks online, 2 weeks on campus, another 3 weeks afterline. And that doesn't add up to the 10 weeks there, but it depends on the way the course is structured. Some may have more in various before or after. Most residencies, you can take up to 3 courses at the same time. Not all of the programs do that, 3 courses at the same time. And sorry, I don't know if you can hear dogs in the background. I'm hoping not, because I've got 3 dogs and they're barking because somebody came to the door. So hopefully nobody else but me can hear that. So yeah, and then you can add online courses to complete your program if you want the residency. So you come in for 1 res, and then you can take a variety of online courses to complete your program. The third option is the orange line, and it's where you might want to really look at a research topic. So many people come into the MAISE program and really have something they want to focus on. They want to know more about, they want to find it out a little bit more deep into this topic. Some people come in and they don't know what they want to do, but they do know they want to do a thesis. So there's a whole spectrum. We can work with whatever works best for you. We can talk through things. We can help you decide if you want to do a thesis or if you want to just do a research paper, which is 6 credits. If you do choose a thesis, major research project, those are 12 credits. So there's a significant number of credits applied to that, which means less courses that you could take, but it also means that you've got more choice to dig deep into a topic that you're really excited about. The research paper is done with purely no primary research, which means not talking to anybody, not doing interviews or focus groups or anything like that, but actually doing a deep dive into the literature to really explore a topic. And then thesis usually combines those 2 things. So you might do interviews and really look at the literature very deeply. So both of those things combined for a thesis. And then you obviously would bring your own research topic. If I've had conversations with people who knew right from day one what they wanted to do, exciting for them, and they can really focus in on it. Other folks really just wanted to sit back and try and find out what that thing was that really appealed to them. Again, really exciting because there's lots of things to choose from and different directions. And in that one, you would also have some online elective courses. So you do your 3 core, you do some online, and you do your thesis. So I think that hopefully gives a quick guided tour of everything. And next slide, please. Right, so one of the other really interesting things is the option for doing, you could start with a graduate certificate in interdisciplinary studies. So for some students who aren't sure if they really want to fully commit to a master's program right off the bat, they're not sure, maybe it's been a while since you've been in education. For a variety of reasons, it's a fairly lengthy commitment. It's a 2-year commitment usually to do a master's. Maybe you want to start with a certificate and see if that fits your needs. What I have found is students that start the certificate or the diploma tend to go on and continue on with the master's. It's a great way to start, though. It gives that toe in the water, as we usually say, just to kind of explore things and see how it works. So what you do with the certificate is you take the 3 core courses, those 3 I mentioned earlier, and you could also then ladder it into the diploma or the master's. If you decided you're in there, you're doing your certificate, you go, now this is great, I love it. I want to continue on and do my master's. Similar thing with the graduate diploma. Same reason, some people want to do a little bit of a bigger explore, so they'll take 18 credits, and so 3 core courses again, same thing that you're doing in the certificate, and then they'll add 3 electives from various areas that they think could be interesting to them. Again, that can ladder into the MA. So there's several options for you to do.
Thank you so much, Joanne. I agree. I think that's what I like about railroads. You can start with a grad diploma and then be like, oh, I quite like it. And then you move on.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
the next one. Yeah, so, and the other very interesting thing is that some of the graduate certificates that are available for you to take as part of the MAISE program actually have that fast track to professional credentials embedded in them. So there are 3 highlighted here: project management, change management, strategic human resources management. So those are things that you can take the certificate. You might decide you just want to do the certificate, so you went up and then you thought, oh, maybe I'm interested in doing MAISE. You can come into the MAISE program, we'll assess those credentials, make sure that it fits with the big package of things that you want to do. And yeah, you can bring those in, you transfer them in. All right.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And one question I'm getting in the chat is, how many hours would you say mostly per week or per month that someone can be looking at?
So I'm usually a bit evasive with this question because it really depends on the individual. It depends on the topic that you're taking. It depends on how many weeks the course is running. And it depends on your background and experience in that topic. So it's a very, very difficult one. What we do when we're designing the courses at RU, each credit is approximately 33 hours of effort, which means that if you're doing a 3-credit course, that would be approximately 100 hours. The other thing I've noticed is students have big networks, and sometimes those networks branch out into conversations that aren't really to do with their education. So the core content should be taking approximately 100 hours for a 3-credit course, but there are many branching out conversations that you have, and you may think you're actually studying more than you actually are, or, depending on how your, like I said, background and expertise. So sorry, that wasn't really a very precise answer, but it's the only answer I usually give.
That gives that's perfect. Thank you. And
All
then
right.
we can move with our grad here, Michelle. I think you're online. So if you want to maybe just introduce yourself, Michelle, and let us know maybe your background and maybe the reason why you applied to MAIS.
Yeah, for sure. My name's Michelle Hollis. I did the MAIS program, started in September 2018 and graduated in 2021. I took the summers off. I decided I was going to have some time over the summer just to have a break because I was working full time. So my background, I was one of those folks that kind of came back after being out of the studying for about 30 years. So it was quite a change going back into it. And the reason that I did it was my family, as you can tell from my accent, we emigrated to Canada back in 2009. And the year before, I had applied to do a master's in Edinburgh in HR, because I'm an HR lifer, I've been in HR for 35 years. And I decided I was going to go back and do my master's in HR. And then everything changed because my husband was kind of headhunted to come to Canada for a job. And I thought, okay, put everything on pause. I've got a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. I need to get them settled. And then 10 years went by. And it was suddenly, am I ever going to do this? And what prompted me was my youngest was in his second last year of university, and he was talking about doing his master's, and I thought, I'm not going to be the last one in my family to get a master's, because I'd put the boys through grad school. My eldest and my husband had done his MBA and things, so I thought, you know what, it'd be nice to have some Canadian credentials as well, and I needed to look like what I wanted to do. So for me, I could have done a course here because I actually work at the University of Waterloo. So I'm based in Waterloo, Ontario. So I could have a free master's here at the university, but I didn't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I wanted to make sure I got something out of it. And for me, we don't really have sort of a program like this that's interdisciplinary. And I felt that I wanted something to complement my 30 years of working in HR. So what I did was I did the course-based masters. It's where I opted to take the 12 courses. I didn't want to do a dissertation at the end. I've got a very busy portfolio, and the idea of having to make time for the research as well was going to be difficult for me. So I thought, I think I can manage kind of 10-week chunks and kind of get through it that way with a very busy job. So that worked. I think it worked well for me. I did opt for the residential, but unfortunately, we didn't get to do our residential. We ended up being online anyway, but we still spent the 2 weeks together, so the full 2 weeks online. So that was an interesting experience as well. It was the first time, the first cohort that kind of had flipped, because it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, to be in the residential online. But you know, we muddled through it with our professors at the time. Like, you know, they were kind of seeing, does this work? Does it not work? But what I did find was that the students and the people that I met along the way, it was a fantastic experience for me. And I really was able to, I looked at higher education because I work within the university. I looked at conflict analysis because I was interested in diving a little bit deeper. And then I looked at leadership, just enhancing the leadership skills that I had as well. So the MAZE program allowed me to do that. So we had the core courses that we did that Joe spoke to, but then we were able to then adapt a program that worked and a schedule that worked for us as well. So I found that that was, it really worked for me, working full time and having the ability to pick the courses that I wanted to do.
That's wonderful. And how did you come up with all those programs or courses? Did you chat with someone, obviously, at Railroad?
Yeah, I spoke with the office, and then I worked with Pooja, actually, when I was seeing her online. I've emailed her a few times as well. Because a couple of times, once you got into it a little bit as well, you thought, I don't know if that's really where I want to go. So you would maybe see there was another course that was maybe a little bit more relevant. So you were able to see, does that fit with my schedule? And could I maybe swap, as long as you gave enough notice to do that? So working with the office, you were able to then have that dialogue and go back and forth and say, yeah, I think here's some options for you that kind of cover those topics, and able to adapt to that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate what you share, and I appreciate what Joe shared as well. It's kind of flexible, but it's structured too. So you have people to help you manage your schedule to make the most of it, I guess. Wonderful. And could you tell us maybe what was one of your favorite classes or assignment that you had to do? I know it's pretty vague because there's so much in 2 years, but is there something that really resonated with you?
It was actually my last class, and I don't know whether it was just because it was coming to an end, but I did workplace innovation, this strategy and culture. And being in HR, in the midst of the pandemic, we started to re-envision the future of work and what does that look like for us as an institution, because I was actually doing it at work as well. I was thinking, how am I going to look at workforce planning? How are we going to transition? Understanding there's going to be a talent shortage. What does that look like? And like most universities, very siloed. So how are we going to be consistent in our practices and being able to move things forward? So through that course and through some of the discussions that we had, we really got into design thinking and systems thinking. And I was able to come up with a model to combine that with scenario planning as well, to be able to present that back. And actually, that's what we've used as a university to be able to take us through into the future of work. So being able to take something that practically that I learned in the first couple of weeks, I thought, oh, wait a minute, we're onto something here. This is something that we could do, and use it as my final paper, and get feedback from my classmates on, have you thought about this? And have you thought about backcasting as part of that? You maybe want to think about backcasting as you want to do the reviews, which was interesting because then we found out that backcasting came from one of the professors here at the University of Waterloo. I didn't know that. I work here, but I didn't know that they'd come up with the concept. So I found that really interesting, that the culmination of it all was something that ended up being a huge project for us here at the university. So able to apply it to your day-to-day work was fantastic.
As you go, you learn and then you apply it as you do. That's fantastic, yeah. And I'm looking in the chat. Some people I think are curious. You mean that you said that you're in Waterloo. So how does it work to do your online classes? Where they did you have to set up at a specific time and day, or how did you manage your schedule?
So I did tend to attend the classes online. So I did actually attend the hour or whatever the sessions were, because for me, I like to have a little bit more structure. So I kind of took it week by week. What's my reading at the beginning of the week that we needed to have done? So I did that at the weekend, would attend my class the Monday, Tuesday, do any group work, and then start working in when were my assignments going to be due. You would probably have probably 2 to 3 assignments, and then your final assignment kind of as you work through the 10 to 12 weeks, depending on the course. So I found that the timing didn't really, because it was in the evening, it was fine for me with the time difference. I did have one course where we were all over the place. We had We had coast to coast. So we had someone in BC, somebody in Alberta, Mountain Time. There was me in Ontario, and there was somebody in Newfoundland. So we had to work out how was that going to work for us. So we just found a time. We were able to get something that worked for everybody. Somebody worked shifts. Well, I think people were receptive to it because everybody was. I think the majority of folks. I think maybe a couple of people were actually full-time students. The rest of them were working, so we were able to just adapt. And we'd say we'd meet first thing on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, and then you could go and do stuff with your family afterwards. So we tried to make it work for everybody, and if you couldn't make it, somebody would always catch you up afterwards. So it did work quite well.
It's amazing to hear. And I think one of my last questions, and if there's anyone in the audience that has questions for Michelle, please chat or send me a little message here. But because we have quite a few people interested in the program here in the audience, why should someone take MACE or the grad diploma or grad certificate?
Well, apart from all the amazing people that you make in the networks, I still have multiple WhatsApp groups open, and people send updates of what they're doing and stuff. I think for me, it was like, maybe I was a little bit more linear in my thinking before I went into the program. And I think the interdisciplinary, it made you think a little bit differently. And I think you can see the value add to your day-to-day work and being able to actually apply the things. It was much more like the research part was interesting and things, but you had stuff that you could actually take away in your toolkit afterwards. You learned skills. You did a lot of some of the courses when we were looking at conflict analysis. You did a lot of inward thinking and like thinking about yourself, doing some journaling. So you learned a lot about yourself along the way as well. So you could see your growth as you went through the journey as well. And from the beginning, when I picked up the first research paper, I have to say, I thought, oh, I've made a big mistake. I just looked at the title and I thought, I don't even understand what it means. To looking back now and thinking, oh, that was nothing. But the first week I was just like, I don't know that I can actually do this. I think that it's a different language. I don't know how I'm going to manage. But just taking it that week at a time, just planning out your assignments and your time during making sure you've got some time to yourself to be able to do it. I had a notice board where I started 140 weeks and I counted down 139, every week. And I'm just going to knock it off one course at a time. And actually it's still up here because we were in the pandemic and I'm just back at work. And it's saying 49 weeks, 8 of 12, 24 of 36 credits on the corner of my notice board, because it just kept me going as I went through it. So.
Wow, thank you so much. Beautiful insight. That's very inspiring. Yeah, I really like to hear from you. And if people have questions, please continue with the chat. And I'll just continue the conversation with how to apply. But please feel free, Michelle, if you have anything to add or you want to pop things in the chat. Thank you so much. And here, as we're all getting excited about hearing from Michelle and from Joe about the program, I'll just give you a few feedback here, a few information about how to apply. And I've seen that our amazing enrollment advisor in the chat have been posting the program schedule and webpage. So feel free to go on the website at railroads.ca to find more. But here's standard admission. So if you want to get into MACE, and we consider you as standard, and this is an important difference to do, if I can say, at Railroads. You don't have to decide if you go through standard admission or flexible admission. That will be our team advisor that will look at your profile and decide, okay, that person has a 4-year or comparable undergrad degree in a related field with a GPA of B+, so 3.33, and then 3 years of professional experience. If you have this, most of the time you will get into the program with that background. But that being said, what we do differently at Railroads is the flexible admission. So maybe you don't have that 4-year undergrad degree, but maybe you have a variety of skills and work experience and volunteer experience coming all together. So those candidates are welcome as well. So I'll leave you just a minute maybe to read through all the information here. But again, flexible is not something you will apply to, we will decide. But what we want to see with flexible admission is people that have the knowledge. And again, it's not just academic, it will be based on your life experience and kind of the why you will get in, into the program. And I don't know if Joe or Carole, you want to add to this?
Oh, hi, Nancy. It's Carole here. And I can't really speak to admissions so much, but what I will speak to is just to remind everyone that the program office kind of works almost concurrently with admissions, in that they will guide you about your admission requirements and everything, but they'll also link you with us at the program office. And in particularly, we have a program advisor, Willem, who couldn't be here today unexpectedly, but Willem is the person who will work with you one-on-one to help you determine course selections, help you determine the best program of study that's the right fit for you, for your academic and career goals. So that kind of happens at simultaneously, if you will, in having that. And that's what I wanted to ensure everyone was aware that, yes, and I want you to make sure you do look at that program guide. It will really help you better understand the structure of the program and the courses that you select from. And it's almost like being in we used to say, a kid in a candy store, and there's so much to choose from.
Yes.
But and it's not just random and haphazard that something gets kind of slapped together. There's a lot of work and thought and put into it so that it is a program that's academically sound and will work for you as well.
100%. Thank you so much, Carole, for that. You're right. An applicant will not be alone out there and be like, oh, what should I do? There's people to support and really talk about admission too. And talking about admission, how to apply, of course, you will go online. Most people will go online, start their application, pay that small fee, and then get an application ID to start sharing documents with us. And that makes me think what Carole just shared is when you will share your supporting documents, that's something that you will get support from the program as well, but then you will share a little bit more about yourself with us. So of course, you will send your official transcript from any post-secondary institution that you attended in the past. So those transcripts will come directly from your institution. You will share with us a detailed resume, and the detailed resume will showcase all the experiences you got, work, volunteer, academic. So you have to take a few moments to reflect on your resume and make it accurate for the program. And personal statement of intent, which is one of my favorite, because it's very nice to be able to sit and just reflect on why you want to get into the program, who you are, and who you want to become. So you have a chance to just reflect on that, and there's more guidelines on the website about those requirements. And then when you have your statement, you can share it with people so they can write your letters of reference. And I'm sure, as Carole and Joe mentioned, people will be from May's program, they will be able to support you through that. But again, those people, sometimes we recommend an academic letter and professional one. Those people know you, and they will kind of write a letter to help us understand who you are again and what you want to achieve. So this is why we have a little note here about the College of Interdisciplinary Studies to design a program schedule. And myself, having done a bachelor in interdisciplinary studies, I totally agree that all those courses will make sense at the end. So when you go in the workplace, or if you're already at work, then you can apply it. And that's a great value. Here we go. And the next intake, we have September 6th coming up in a few months, with the deadline on June 6th. And January 23rd, 2023, with the application deadline in October. And what we like to say at Royal Road is that we adjudicate files on a daily basis. So don't wait until the deadline to apply. You can start your application today. You can connect with the school today and start your process. If you're coming from abroad, I think I saw a few people in the chat from outside Canada, you have to plan at least 4 to 6 months to apply. So that would be a very good timing, things to consider, but you can totally start your application today and then submit your documents as we go. I saw a few questions in the chat about financial aid. So of course, we know that it's a super important component of going back to school. So maybe you can print screen or take a picture of this slide here. Our amazing team at Financial Aid, they will help you with loans, awards, research scholarship, and other funding. I like to say that they help you with what we have as internal resources, but as well as external resources. So please give them a call or an email when you're ready. And to end the presentation, and we can check in the chat, or maybe Mark, you can let me know if there's any important question in the chat, but this is how to connect with us. So I've seen that Rhonda is in the chat, Kelsey is here with us today. They're answering a lot of questions, but if you have any question, you want to call us or email us. If you're a domestic applicant, you can use learn.more@royalroads.ca. And if you're from abroad, you can connect with the international advisor team at learn.more.international. And if you're here now and you want to know more, you want to chat with someone, please feel free to just scan the QR code and that will connect with one of us. And here with a beautiful picture of the peacocks that maybe some of you, I don't know, Michelle, if you came to campus and you saw the peacock, they're a bit everywhere. So thank you everyone for joining. And I'll just have a look in the chat, or maybe Carole, Joe, Mark, Michelle, if you want to add anything.
Can I just add something? That I just want to emphasize the flexible admission piece, because sometimes people get wrapped up in the fact that they think they have to have a degree before coming to RRU to do a master's program. And just to emphasize that you do not. We do have a flexible admission. I know we went over it earlier, but just to encourage you that if you're not sure, just talk to us and we can guide you through that process. The other piece I just wanted to mention is that make sure you put your volunteer experiences on your CV, because I know some people forget that piece, and it really is, it provides a different dimension to your application. And then we have a specific format for the personal statement. So follow those things. So those are guidelines when you're thinking of going to it. And I know our wonderful folks will help you through all that, but just a couple of things from my perspective, because I often adjudicate the files, and those